I'm preparing to paint this chassis. So I plugged a lot of holes that had something directly beneath them. Like this one right here has nothing underneath it, but I'll probably still put a piece of tape there. And I cut up, one of the best ways to plug holes from underneath is to cut strips of thin cardboard, like out of a manila folder or something, and then just slip it up underneath the wiring so it fits up underneath the chassis. Let me see, get a pencil right here. You can see I've done that to one spot right here, and a couple of spots here, and a little bit over here. Anywhere I can use a strip of this thin stuff, it just slips right up under there, and the wires will actually hold it in place. You don't have to tape or anything. Anyway, I'm getting ready, as I said, to paint this thing. So what I need to do is clean it. I've been handling this thing with my fingers for quite a while now, ever since I put the clear coat on. It's got a lot of oil from my fingers everywhere. So what we're going to do is I'm going to clean it with alcohol and a rag. So I'm just going to take the old alcohol, tip it up. It won't harm anything. You just kind of give it a quick wipe down. It evaporates quickly. And do as much as I can. When I'm all done now, I'll have to go around, probably check my taping. It's been on there for quite a while. I want to make sure all the taping is still pretty secure. Some of it's not. That'll be my next move. Like this one right here is getting to be a little bit kind of coming loose there, so I'll have to retape that one right there probably. But not a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe down this entire chassis and get my old fingerprints off there prior to painting. You know, if you don't take the time to do that, you're going to have spots where the paint won't look so good. Now I plan to prime it before I put the silver on. This is the cover for the audio output transformer on the speaker. It's all metal, and the speaker wire goes through the center, of course. On the inside of it, you'll always find a piece of cardboard that insulates the metal from the contacts on the audio output transformer. It's essential that those contacts, the cardboard be there to protect it from those contacts. And over the years, people have, taken the lid off, put it back on, take it off, put it back on, and it messes up the cardboard a little bit, so you have to take the time necessary to repair it. And I'm repairing it right now. I took a little bit of super glue gel, and I stuck it down. It was like this one here. So I put a little bit behind there, and I'm kind of holding it there until it dries. Get that thing well protected. When I put that lid back on there, I don't want any chance of any metal touching those contacts in that audio output transformer. It'll really mess things up, so you don't want that to happen. That super glue gel just seems to take forever sometimes to dry properly. One thing I want to re-emphasize, folks, the videos I do, seems like some of the information I put out is awfully basic. Well, there's a reason for that. Please keep in mind that my videos are geared toward the inexperienced vintage radio restorer, or the person who has never done it at all. One time I got a message from a fellow that said he bought a radio 4 or 5 years ago and wanted to restore it, but then he realized he was too afraid to do it because he didn't know what he was doing. He stuck it on a shelf, and it had sat there all that time until he finally got enough information from my videos to garner enough confidence to take it down off the shelf and restore it. Now, whether or not he did that, I don't know. He said he felt confident enough to go ahead and get going on it. So I hope he was successful. Please keep that in mind. Also, I told you that this series in this that I'm doing on this Philco is going to be a long haul. We're up to video number 22 on it. Hopefully, I should finish it up in the next 2 or 3. It is paint time. First thing I'm going to do is put some of this Krylon gray primer on it. I don't need any high build because it's, the radio's nice and smooth. The surface is, and maybe a very, very minor pitting right in this area here, but no big deal. And I'm having to fudge a little bit on today's temperature. According to the instructions on this can, you're not supposed to spray, where it says for ideal conditions would be between the temperatures of 50 and 90 degrees. It's about 48 right now, so I'm going to fudge a little bit, and hopefully it'll work. So here goes. Didn't turn out too bad. I've got a couple of coats on it right now. I think we'll just let that dry for a little while and then go ahead and hit it with the silver. One good thing about painting this chassis with the silver, y'all voted for me to do that, so if something goes wrong, I don't have to blame myself. What a deal for me, huh? And here we go, folks, by popular demand. That's it, folks. I've got 2 coats on it. I may elect to put one more, but that color is not too shabby. Not bad. Not bad at all. Epoxy appliance paint. Silver, I guess. It's just called epoxy appliance paint. And just had a silver top on it. This color right here. It's pretty close to the original. One thing I'd like to recommend, I need to tape off the speaker, but before I do, I want to recommend that whenever you're not messing with the speaker, and it's an old speaker, and they're hard to find, and when you do find one, you got to pay through the nose for it, it's better to store your speaker in a box somewhere off your bench, away from the bench. To prepare the speaker or the speaker basket for painting, all you have to do is make a cone out of some newspaper, like this, and then slip it down over the top of the audio output transformer all the way to the bottom. And then just close the top over and put some tape on it. Just like that. Now if a little bit of the clear coat gets on the feet of the audio output transformer, it's no big deal. Now we'll go ahead and fold in the top all the way around and tape that. That's all there is to it. Just make a little sack over the top of it and close it off so those contacts on the top of the audio output transformer do not get coated with clear coat enamel or any other paint you might be painting. To cover the back of the speaker cone, even though probably if you got some of the clear coat on it wouldn't hurt it a bit, but just cut you some newspapers this shape right here and kind of round the bottom, you know, about that width to where it's maybe halfway on this part of the basket and halfway here, and make sure it covers all the way to the top. Then all you got to do is just slip it up in there and it'll stay there of its own accord once you get it in. Kind of position it with your hand a little bit from both sides. Go slow, be careful, be careful. It'll take both hands to get it where I want it, so I'll get back with you in a second. And that's all there is to it. You go ahead and put your paper in. I've done 3 of them here, and just let them sit. Just let gravity hold them in. You don't have to tape them or anything. And when you remove this tape to remove the cover over the cone, then you can go ahead and just spray the whole thing with clear coat. Works like a charm, and it's easy to get out when you're done. Well, that's it. Now all we have to do is hook up the speaker wires and put the cap back on. Put a little heat shrink around the wires where it comes through the hole. We'll show you that next. The wires have been soldered back on the audio output transformer, and we will slip down the, I have some pretty heavy duty heat shrink here now. That's really thick stuff. And once that heat shrink is shrunk, then we will bring this metal cap over and fasten it right over the top of this thing. Now, one thing to keep in mind, all of these covers for your audio output transformers on your speakers, almost every one of them have a piece of cardboard on the inside to insulate the metal from these pins. If that cardboard is missing, put one in there. And that includes around the sides, as you can see. If it's damaged, repair it. Don't take any chance on these pins shorting out against the metal on this cover. Very important. Okay, that should take care of that. Now all we have to do is slide the cover over, and incidentally, when you put the cover over on those pins, be sure not to damage the cardboard in the process of doing it. Be very careful. Now I'll put the screws in we'll call that one done. And it's back in the box. I wanted to get to this shadow meter on this video, but it's just not going to happen. It's going to take one entire video to go over this shadow meter because it's such a delicate item in the 630 radio, and it's also in the 650 and the 16B, I believe it is. And you know, you have to take your time with this. This is the reason I purchased this radio, because I wanted a shadow meter. So I don't want to be rushing anything in this radio and possibly break it or damage it, which would defeat the whole purpose of me buying the radio. Now, I will say this, I'll have to, the frame that it sits on is really mangy. Again, more navel jelly treatment is needed. And all I have to do is remove this screw and this one over here, and this shadow meter itself will be removed from the mounting frame. Now, before I take it off though, I want you to see that this shadow meter is adjustable by about 3/16 of an inch forward and back with these screws once you loosen them, which pushes it right up against the back of the dial glass, and you can see that it's adjustable back and forth. Anyway, what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove it, and we'll take an ohm meter reading of the coil inside here. The coil inside of these shadow meters, I understand from doing some reading that they should read about anywhere 1500 ohms. Now, of course, it depends on the radio. However, this one I think should be reading about 1500 ohms, but what I'm getting is almost 2500 ohms, which is about almost 1000 ohms over what I'm supposed to have, at least I think. So what I've done is I sent a message to Chuck Schwark, and he and Ron Ramirez are the two big Philco men on the internet as far as I'm concerned. And I told him, I said, hey, I've got 2500 ohms on my coil. Is that good or bad? I said, it seems to me that it would be okay. I read somewhere where as long as they're not above 4000 ohms, you're okay. But, it's best to check and find out, and I'll tell you what he tells me after he gets back to me. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and clean this baby up. I'm going to get it nice and shiny, hopefully, and go ahead and clear coat it. I'm going to be very, very careful. I'm going to use some alcohol on this, and whatever else I do, we'll cover in the next video. The bulb, of course, will have to come out and be shined up and everything, cleaned up. It'll look a lot better and hopefully work well.